discussion. My name is Nuno Leal and I work for Worldstar Aviation. Worldstar Aviation is a full-service leasing platform that is established around the world. Worldstar Aviation has been established back in 2003 and has offices in London, San Francisco, Lisboa, Tel Aviv and Bogota. The Lisbon office has been established recently and currently has 6 members of the team working here, members of the marketing team and the technical team, and the team is growing in the Lisbon office. The company currently owns or manages over 100 aircraft and engines, flying with airlines all around the world. Although the company is focused in the standard backbone aircraft that leasing platforms typically invest in, it is also a fact that Worldstar Aviation is more and more investing in supporting airlines and operators around the world with cargo aircraft and by making use of our own engine pool that allows to support the daily operations of the airlines. Worldstar Aviation is backed up by a solid base of investors and lenders all around the world. And to name a few, you can see some of the logos here presented on the slide. Commercial aviation and environment, or aviation sector and the environment. As we all know, the aviation sector and the commercial passenger market has grown significantly over the last decades. Typically, and what we've been seeing is that the passenger market size doubles every 15 years. And despite the current crisis that we have lived and gone through during these last 2 years, it is expected that this sector will continue to grow at a pace between 4% and 5% annually. And a similar growth, or even larger, can be expected from the cargo aircraft market. This market has grown tremendously during the peak of this crisis, unprecedented crisis, and it has been an essential tool for our lives to remain as normal as they could be. Aviation sector as a whole today represents something around 3.5% of the GDP globally, which if aviation was a country, it would be on the top 20 countries in the world in terms of its GDP. So this means not only that there is a significant contribution to the world that we know today, but it means that we have, as an industry, a strong responsibility versus environment and sustainability. In 2019, according to IATA, the level of emissions that are responsibility of aviation, commercial aviation, were nearly 2% of the emissions globally. And if we look at what has been done during these last couple of years, we see that there was already quite a significant improvement made by all the stakeholders in this industry, although the road path going forward is still very challenging and demanding. If we look at European only, the fuel burn per passenger that is reported by airlines in the European Union has been reduced by 24% between the years of 2005 and 2017, which reinforces that aviation is already doing something, although we all recognize that the way to go is still quite long. If we look at airlines that we all know very well, and to name just a few, TAP Air Portugal or EasyJet, for example, both have long-established fuel conservation projects in their own companies. And, for example, for TAP, the fuel conservation project was established back in 2005, so aligning with this timeline that I have mentioned to you earlier. When we look at what they have done, these airlines that I've mentioned and others around the world, they've invested in improving procedures, they've invested in reducing weight, they've invested in being more efficient, they've invested in new technology aircraft and engines, fueling an improvement in the carbon footprint that they currently have. But if we look at all the improvements that were already made and the growth that the sector has had over the last couple of years, we see that the growth has completely outpaced the level of improvements that the airlines have been able to put together and this industry has been put together. So when we have a period such as COVID, we have to use this opportunity, because it's an unnatural opportunity, to rethink and use this opportunity to rebuild better. And in a way, it's aligned with the motto for this conference, flying for a new start. So what we have to do going forward is to really rethink how we operate, rethink how we invest in our assets, and do it in a way that is more fuel efficient, that contributes to a significant reduction on the carbon footprint. IATA, which represents a lot of the players around this industry and mainly airlines, has had recently the annual meeting where it was approved the roadmap for the net zero footprint by 2050. This is for sure a very aggressive objective, and it's clearly an undertaking that needs to involve all the stakeholders in this industry. To name just a few, and without getting into details, there's a couple of initiatives that will certainly contribute to achieving this goal. So the sustainable fuels being available across the world at a cost-effective level, the improvements in the operations and the operational procedures within the airlines and airport operators and ATC is a significant contribution. A lot has been done, but there's still a lot to be done using technology that is today available. Efficiency that comes from a better ATC system, and of course a significant contribution that comes from having new technology being embedded on the new aircraft and new engines. Again, even here, a lot has been done during these last decades with step forwards that were quite significant, but in order to achieve the net zero by 2050, we need to have another leap forward and another step change. Carbon capture initiatives and carbon offsets are for sure very, very important contributors also to this common objective. And how, looking at the leasing market, the aircraft leasing market, how can we as a community also contribute to this global efforts? Aircraft lessors are managing or owning over 50% of the worldwide fleet, and having such an amount of aircraft under its responsibility, it gives a natural added responsibility in order to be an active player on this global mission too. If we look at what is an aircraft lessor, it can be seen as a link between airlines and OEMs and manufacturers, because the aircraft lessors are the ones that enable airlines to finance the aircraft, to take delivery of the aircraft and start flying. Lessors also do the link between the OEM, the airlines, and the aircraft financiers and the lenders. establishing that relationship, enabling the aircraft financing to go forward. Airlines want to continue to improve, and they are super supportive of this roadmap to 2050. Investors and lenders are more and more keen into recognizing their role on this scope, and they acknowledge that a more efficient aircraft should cost less to finance. A more efficient airline that has been able to implement procedures and processes in order to be more efficient should also benefit from a lower financing cost. So the challenge here is to establish this platform between airlines and financiers, OEMs and financiers, and establish a line of communication, open communication, that can bring these benefits from a lower cost of financing back to the airlines and have these benefits fueling additional initiatives to reduce fuel burn, to reduce the emissions, and again, on top of everything that was already done or is being done, contribute to this net zero target for 2050. A last word that I think it's relevant to say. This is a massive undertaking that all the stakeholders in the industry need to recognize and to joint efforts into doing whatever needs to be done in order to achieve this goal. Reducing the carbon footprint, our carbon footprint, cannot be just another empty slogan, and needs to represent an active joint effort from all the stakeholders around this industry in order to achieve the 2050 net zero objective. Muito obrigado. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I hope that the conference during these next few days is very fruitful for all of us. Thank you very much. Obrigado.